So I just watched the new A24 documentary experience TV show, The Beach. Here it is. This is quite the interesting little thing. I wouldn't normally talk about something I had so little thoughts on, but the way it's being presented right now by A24 is very interesting to me, and it's kind of the reason why I wanted to talk about this. This is basically a 6-episode TV show about a man named Warwick Thornton, who is an Australian native, who is a director, writer, cinematographer. He's worked on movies like Slow Country and other things. And it's about this man who goes to the middle of nowhere, essentially, in this little cabin on the edge of a beach and lives there for months on end. And it's chronicling his life living in isolation, without power, without electricity, living off the land, which isn't a particularly new or inventive concept, but the way it's presented is, and that seems to be the number one thing to talk about with it.
We have no idea what he's doing, and I was like, oh, well, I don't know what I'm going to do either, you know what I mean? But let's just go watch this village idiot get stronger and stronger through talking to chickens. Even
though this is a 6-episode thing, at this point in time, you can't watch it from episode 1 to episode 6 unless you get lucky or know the rhythm of what's going on, because right now, the only way to watch it is by buying a virtual ticket or a virtual screening on A24's website, following the link they give you, and then watching this thing which is playing on continuous loop. And that's an interesting way of presenting it. So whenever you go to it, you are going to be dumped into a random spot in this series, thing, whatever it is. I couldn't even really tell you what it is if you asked. Is it a documentary? Sort of. Is it a TV show? Sort of. I don't really know. But it dumps you into the middle of a random part of the show. It's like 2.5 hours, and for me, I got dumped into the 5th episode. So the show was basically over already, and that was interesting, because the show itself doesn't seem to be about a point A to point B experience. It's about the actual experience that one is having with Warwick Thornton as he's living in this isolated space. And that's very interesting to me because there isn't a clear structure to the show. It is essentially 6 episodes of the same thing happening over and over and over again, which, to be fair, gets pretty tiring. And it's one of the biggest reasons I don't particularly love this. It's essentially a man wakes up, a man goes out to get food, a man makes food, he has a monologue, he does more fishing and hunting, scavenging, messing around, and then the next episode's the same thing. And every episode's 25-ish minutes long, maybe 30 minutes long. So 6 episodes, all 30 minutes or so each, of the same thing happening over and over and over again. And at a certain point, after I think 3rd or 4th episode, that structure got kind of tiring to me because it doesn't feel like it's building to anything. And being dumped into a random episode at a random time, while that's fun, it doesn't really help with that because there isn't a clear drive to this. There isn't a clear through line to this. It is just experience this with this guy. And if you want that, then I think it does a good job of that because it is a good-looking show and the music is great. And it is interesting to watch this guy just hang out on a beach. But for me, that novelty wore off after an hour and a half or maybe less. And it does feel like a novelty because of the way it's being presented.
And we do it again.
The ability to pause is non-existent. Now, you can pause, don't get me wrong, but when you play it again, after maybe a minute or two, it just jumps to the spot in the continuous loop. So you can't pause the loop. Even if you jump in, there's no pausing. It just keeps going. So if you're gonna watch this, you basically have to watch it from start to finish, or wherever you start to wherever it finishes. And that was kind of annoying to me, because this is a long thing. It's almost, I think it's over 2.5 hours long. So sitting down and watching this without any knowledge of that, I got kind of annoyed pretty quickly, and that may have affected my experience, to be fair. Because I was like, okay, I'm just gonna sit down and watch this, and then I went, oh wait, I'm gonna get some food, or I need to get up and go to the bathroom. Let me just pause it. Oh wait, I can't. And I got annoyed. Plus the presentation, but I have so much to say about the presentation of this and so little to say about the actual show. Another presentation issue I had with it is the fact that even though this is playing on continuous loop, it still has the title cards for each episode. So after an episode ends, it cuts to the next episode, even though it's not cutting, and plays the title cards and the credits for the episode, which kind of broke my immersion every single time it happened. If you're gonna play this thing on continuous loop, just have it be a continuous thing. I don't think you needed the titles for every single episode. I think it would have actually been a lot more immersive without those. And that's clearly what this is going for, an immersive experience. It wants you to become lost in this project, to be entranced by the beach that this person is living on, to get lost with him. And for me, that immersion is broken by all these little things that are happening simultaneously with the presentation, but most specifically with these title cards and credits that pop up 5 or 6 times because of the episodes changing. And even though I like the idea of the continuous loop, I like that it dumped me into the 5th episode and I was able to see things that he had, like a guitar with a string broken that kind of looks run down, and then you get to see at the start of the episodes, the start of the series, how that stuff happened. I like that, but I also wish there was just an option to watch it from the start, because it feels like it's something that it probably would have a similar impact if you could just watch it from the start. So those are all my little presentation gripes. Now, onto the show, there's just not that much to be said, for me at least.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
I watched this, and there are parts of it I really, really liked. There's a lot that I think I got really involved in. But again, it gets tiring after a certain point because every episode feels exactly the same. Even though he's doing slightly different things every day, it just feels like I'm watching the same thing over and over again, even with these monologues that he keeps saying that tie into the titles of each episode. You don't get that point A to point B experience where you grow with him and you learn about everything with him. It's kind of like, okay, we're here now, and this happened, and then we're gonna figure that out later. It's just kind of disorienting. The whole thing is fine, I would say. It's a fine show. If you want this experience, I think that's the only reason I can recommend it, because it isn't anything groundbreaking, really. It's not anything revolutionary, and watching it gets boring and tiring, at least for me. So I think this is something that's more of an experience than an actual show that one can be entertained by. So that's it. I don't really have anything more to say about this. If you want to watch it, it's like $6, so it's cheaper than going to the movies, the theater. So that's something.